Welcome to episode 10 of Fascinating, a Star Trek podcast, the Corbomite Maneuver.
In this week's episode, the crew of the Enterprise must consider their mortality as an apparently overwhelming enemy seems set to destroy the ship. Without the firepower necessary to escape, Kirk must rely on his wits and his nerve to salvage the situation and find a peaceful solution.
What they've been through, they really should.
McCoy, I've heard you say that man is ultimately superior to any mechanical device.
No, I never say that either.
That's when I heard you say that.
Good evening, Ian.
Good evening, Gerry.
Is it true that you often refer to me as being superior to any mechanical being, or...?
No, I've definitely never, ever said that, nor would I ever say that.
Well, I was going to suggest that you should start saying it.
No.
Start now.
No, it's never going to be said.
Okay. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. Sleepy now. It's past my bedtime.
Yeah, we're recording later than usual. I was in a bit of a rush, so I've just had a clatty, manky McDonald's, so I feel a bit...
Fascinating after dark.
Ah.
We'll see what happens.
Huh. Or you might hear what happens.
Oh dear. Did you enjoy the Corbomite Maneuver?
I did. Yes. I think I can safely say that. A different feel to it.
Yeah, there were certainly some of the elements from the earlier episodes from Where No Man Has Gone Before, and maybe even Man Trap, I'm not sure, but certainly from the pilot that were carried over into this, which was, of course, the first episode produced.
So I understand. I didn't think that after Miri, I would meet a creepier child than the bunks, but...
Managed it.
Definitely. Might give me nightmares.
I'm sure it will. That's the plan.
Oddball.
Certainly a unique character.
Yeah.
Baylock the priest.
Okay.
No, wait, that's Zadok. I'm getting confused.
Mm.
Baylock's just a child. Or is he a child? We'll come to this.
We can chat about that when we get there. Before we begin, anything we want to say? Oh, in fact, I do.
Okay, following up from last week.
Last week I set a little trivia question, but I want to make it clear that we can't answer it this week. We record a number of weeks in advance, so we haven't broadcast that episode yet.
Pretend to say thank you for all your responses. We were overwhelmed.
Yeah, we were. A lot of right answers, some wrong, some very dodgy.
Yeah, I think you people are watching the wrong programmes on television, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks anyway for your contribution. It's very much appreciated.
Very kind of you.
Yeah, keep it up.
Please do continue, of course, to use our social channels to get in touch. I say every week, but we're at Trek Podcast on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Website's at astartrekpodcast.com, where there's a post up for every episode. And please remember to go to Apple Podcasts and rate us, even if you can't be bothered. It's worth it for us.
Got any plans?
Not really. You?
Yeah.
What's your plan?
I'm showing my dedication to Star Trek. I'm desperate to be considered a Trekkie or a Trek-or. And to do that, I'm flying down to London to see William Shatner live. He's doing the Wrath of Khan.
He's doing the Wrath of Khan?
We're watching the Wrath of Khan, and then it's a Q&A or whatever it is, an evening with William Shatner. That's how dedicated... I mean, what have you done, Ian? You've sat in your backside and you've watched some Netflix. I am spending good, hard-earned cash, flying down to London, staying overnight down there, watching Shatner live.
Some questions for him lined up?
Yep. Yeah, can't wait.
Okay, you can maybe record them, put them on the podcast.
I'll do that, yeah. Get him to do an intro to the podcast. I'm Bill Shatner, and you are listening to the...
Yeah, something like that.
That'd be good.
He wouldn't do it.
The reason I'm going down there, he's actually playing in Glasgow the week before.
Yeah.
And I think it was you that brought my attention to this particular event. But, good and bad luck, I had already bought tickets to see Martin Short and Steve Martin do their two-man act on the same night that Shatner's in town, so I couldn't have went anyway.
It's sold out as well, though.
So, yeah, well, it was sold out, but I could have probably got a ticket somehow. I've got connections. I know a few people.
Well, you say that. I've been trying.
Yeah, you've been trying.
Okay.
So that's why I'm going down there as well. But like I say, dedication, Ian. Any trekkers out there who are involved in the membership, you can start to send a little application or an invitation my way, I think.
Some form of pin badge, maybe.
I don't know how it all works, yeah. Maybe a big set of ears.
It's a sticker for your car window.
Perhaps not.
You're not taking that step.
No. It's crazy. Anyway, that's us. Enough of the rambling. Fancy moving on with this week's episode.
It's long overdue.
Crack on.
We start on the bridge.
We do. It's a very bridge-heavy episode.
There's a lot of bridge.
You notice that when you're taking notes. Next scene, the bridge, and it's one massive scene at the bridge.
There's as many bridges as The Big Lebowski.
Or as in a James Brown song, or in Paris.
Or a Simon Garfunkel song.
Right. We're going to keep this one short and snappy, so let's not do this.
This wasn't even funny.
It wasn't, no.
Yeah.
In fact, I won't take it. I'm going to leave it in there.
Just to embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
The bridge crew are also doing something quite tedious.
Yes, they have spent the last 3 days taking pictures up to the then uncharted territory of some, part of the galaxy or the universe.
Yeah, Lieutenant Bailey, I think, doesn't even seem to understand why they're doing it, which is a bit odd for a bridge officer.
Yeah, but he doesn't understand a lot of things, like, what his job spec requires of him, how he should act.
Yeah, or what the ship's doing.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah. Spock still has that sort of shouty thing that he had in the premiere or the pilot going on. He says, "Take the photograph."
Sulu then makes the Kirkless bridge aware of an object moving towards them at light speed. So what does Spock do?
He raises the shields.
He does, the deflectors, and deploys an evasive manoeuvre. But the object is not to be deterred, and Uhura tries something.
She tries to contact it. She spends this entire episode going, "Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Nothing.
Hailing frequencies open. Hailing frequencies open, sir." You can understand why she got fed up.
Yeah. She can't get a signal from it. There's no comms.
They're just out of range.
And it starts to slow down.
Yes, Spock cancels his red alert that he's just raised when the cube starts to slow.
Yeah. And again, visual contact. What is it?
It's a small cube. It's like a Rubik's Cube, but with one colour on each side.
Yeah.
And without the little squares.
And what does it do?
Nothing. Just sits there in front of them.
No. Well, yes, but it doesn't do nothing.
Well, it stops them going around it or avoiding it, but basically by sitting in front of them.
Yeah. So Sulu alerts all decks and requests Kirk to come to the bridge.
And there's an ironic moment when Spock, who's just been barking his orders, tells Bailey not to raise his voice again. He's getting too emotional.
Yeah, not very self-aware.
No.
We have the credits and then a captain's log 1512.2. Kirk recaps what we already know and explains where he was.
Yeah, he's in sickbay having his quarterly physical.
Yeah, I think he's very proud of his body, his untoned 60s style physique.
I think I read somewhere this is his 4th episode out of 10 where he's appearing without a shirt on at some point.
He must be requesting this.
I think it's probably one of the requirements of the deal that he signed with them.
Yeah, he's being put through his paces on a horizontal type step machine.
We saw this once before, this machine, I think in one of the early episodes.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we saw McCoy using it in sickbay on somebody. Possibly when Spock and Tormolin came back off the planet. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. McCoy tells him to go at it again. And I think he's enjoying forcing Kirk to struggle and break a bit of sweat.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely enjoying it.
What does he note? Or what does he see?
Well, he sees the red light flashing.
And doesn't...
He's obviously got it muted as well.
Yeah, this is quite...
It can't be that important. It's only a Spock. He's just overreacting.
It's an emergency signal. So yeah, he doesn't alert Kirk to the alert straight away.
And when Kirk notices it himself, he's quite incredulous. He's like, "Hey, why didn't you tell me?"
How does he respond?
He says, "Well, at least I got you through your physical for once." So obviously, Kirk must have a habit of skipping out in these physicals whenever there's an alert of some kind.
Yeah. I think actually McCoy says that he's a doctor, and if he jumped every time a light came on, then he would end up talking to himself, and he's saying this after Kirk's left.
Yeah, there's nobody else there. He also shouts out, I think it's not quite the words that he'll come to use regularly, but it's the first real example of "I'm a doctor, not a something else."
Is that a trope?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he says, "What am I, a doctor or a moon shuttle conductor?"
A quick shot of the turbo lift where a sweaty Kirk makes his way to...
He's basically checking with Spock whether he's got time to change before going to the bridge.
Yeah.
And he decides he does. So it's only red alert. It's okay.
Back to the bridge. Spock is in charge at the moment and tells a weary Bailey, the chap you mentioned, what is expected of him.
He's basically prepping him for when the captain comes in, what he's going to be asked for.
Bailey tells him that when he raised his voice earlier, it was because of an adrenaline gland, not because he was scared. No, sorry.
And Spock, straight face, just completely takes him out with that one-liner here when he says, that sounds most inconvenient, you should look into having it removed.
And I think we see Sulu laugh at this and quietly advises Bailey not to try and cross brains with Spock.
Yeah, you're not going to win a battle of wits with that guy.
This leads me to a question. Sulu is advising Bailey about Spock's temperament or personality.
Yeah.
So we assume this is early on in their 5-year mission. So when we join them, do we ever find out at what point that they are in this 5-year?
Near the start.
Near the start, but it's never specifically...
I don't know if there's a specific date eventually given, but this is not the very, very beginning because obviously they know each other. But I think Sulu will know Spock a bit better because he's a department head, remember?
Okay.
And Bailey's basically the new Riley.
Yeah. But without the annoying singing.
That's it.
At least. In Kirk's quarters, he communicates with Spock again, but there are still no developments, so he wants the department heads ready for him on the bridge.
Yeah, and Spock's already got them lined up because he knows what the procedure is.
And I like this. We have a handheld style shot from behind Kirk as he enters the bridge to be briefed on what little they know at this time.
Reporting, sir. Sensors show it as solid, but its composition is unknown to us.
Lieutenant Uhura?
Hailing frequency still open, sir. I get no message from it.
Navigation. Distance from us, 1,593 meters, position constant.
Each of its edges measures 107 meters. Mass a little under 11,000 metric tons.
Scotty,
Motive power? Beats me what makes it go.
I'll buy speculation.
I'd sell it if I had any. That's a solid cube. How something like that can sense us coming, block us, move when we move, it beats me. That's my report.
Life sciences.
same report.
So are we gonna just let it hold us here? We've got phaser weapons. I vote we blast it.
I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Bailey. When this becomes a democracy.
Bailey once again crushed by the one-liner.
I quite enjoyed it. I like their honesty.
Yeah, Scotty and Bones' report is, I don't know.
No idea, yeah. Why do you think we would know about this? Cubes in the universe.
It's an alien cube. Unknown properties.
We have another log, 1513.8. Apparently, star maps reveal no habitable planets nearby, and they have now been held in position for 18 hours without any further information about what is going on.
Yeah, they're just sitting there.
So why is whoever is holding them at this point, why are they waiting 18 hours?
Well, they're not. It's an automated thing.
That's true. Oh, it's a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or buoy, as the Americans call them.
Well, they call it boy in this.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
In the briefing room, Kirk's got a wee impromptu meeting together with the senior staff.
He does, where Spock suggests two possibilities.
Yes, it's either a boy or
a girl.
Flypaper.
Or flypaper, yeah.
Which I think he just means it's stuck to us, I guess. Or we're stuck to it.
Yeah. It's something that attracts you and entraps you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If it is the second option, then staying put makes them look weak. So Kirk tells them it's time for action, and Bailey immediately assumes he wants to blow it up.
Yeah, he quite literally jumps the gun.
Yeah, this is where Spock got it from then.
This is after Spock had it.
I thought you said this was produced first.
Yeah, but not before the pilot.
Yeah, but we've not seen the pilot.
No, not that pilot, the other pilot. Where No Man Has Gone Before was the second pilot,
right.
So it was before this still.
Okay, in any case, there's a lot of them in this crew who just want to kill things and shoot things.
Well, Bailey does seem to just be waiting for the order, no matter what Kirk says.
Kirk is a bit irked by this and he reprimands him and orders a spiral course away from the cube to be plotted.
Yep, Sulu sends a wee message down to the engineering department to get themselves prepared.
We're now on the bridge. They try to pull away, gradually increasing their speed, but ominously with no luck.
Yeah, the cube just stays in the same relative position.
Yeah, and in fact it starts to emit radiation at them, forcing them to stop what they're doing.
Yeah, they change course, they try to go the other way. That doesn't work either, and once they get to warp 2, Kirk realises they're not going to escape this cube. So Bailey gets his way. And well, radiation gets to a lethal level, and the cube is now practically on top of them. So at this point, you're right, yeah, Kirk orders Bailey to lock phasers on target. And even though he had that sort of bloodlust earlier, what does he do? He just kind of panics a little, doesn't he?
He freezes. And at the last second, they fire the main phasers, causing everyone on board to be thrown around. And we wait to see if they have been saved. They have.
Yep.
Captain's log 1514.0. The cube is destroyed with little damage to the Enterprise, but Kirk now has a big decision.
Yeah, should he stay or should he go?
Go on then.
He's already made up his mind, but decides to discuss it with Spock regardless.
I was waiting for a musical interlude there.
It's not that kind of show.
No, it's definitely not. I think he looks at Spock for advice.
Well, not really. He's already decided what he's going to do, but certainly he wants to run it through with Spock. He learns from Spock that there's nothing on the sensors ahead, but Spock's theory is if they go beyond where the cube was, they will eventually come across whoever sent it. And they'll probably be better than us and smarter.
Yeah, but before he can offer a logic-based decision, Kirk cuts him off and reaffirms the mission of the Enterprise. What's that?
Yeah, to seek out new life.
Engage with
it and buy it tea.
Yeah. And at this we have a nice line where Spock questions the point in him asking for advice when he's clearly made up his mind already.
Yeah, Kirk reckons it gives him emotional security.
Yeah, before he orders a forward course to be plotted. And he does this with a smile.
Yes, he's enjoying himself. But what hasn't pleased him is the performance of Sulu and Bailey's teams during the encounter with the cube.
Understandably so. It's been well short of the mark. In my mind, these guys should be like, your sort of Air Force fighter pilots or your astronauts. They've been trained to handle
precision.
Yeah. Under any circumstance. This isn't like a bus driver.
No.
Who panics because he's not used to it. You should be trained for these eventualities or being able to work under extreme pressure and in difficult situations.
That should be one of the tests to get you in these positions to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah. McCoy's not happy with this.
Well, what does...
Kirk orders them to carry out drills with their teams to improve efficiency, and McCoy, as he and Kirk leave the bridge for the turbo lift, explains that the crew are all tired and that it's bad timing.
Yes, in fact, I think Kirk has a little joke and suggests that McCoy always says that a little suffering is good for the soul.
He denies that strenuously.
He goes on to say that he is especially concerned for Bailey, this is McCoy, and suggests that Kirk may have seen something of his younger self in him.
Yeah, and he's promoted him too quickly. Kirk says he likes Bailey. Obviously, either McCoy's right or it's something along those lines, because Kirk's seen something in this kid, so he's promoted him. But it's like the Peter principle. He's beyond the level of his competency.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking back to whatever it was with Helen. Is that her name?
Yeah, last week, yes.
Was that last week? Yeah. She was not ready. I mean, she might have been qualified, but she wasn't ready to operate in the environment she found herself.
Yeah, there's no shortcuts to experience.
So what's happening here? You've got a limited ship on a 5-year mission. I thought you'd have stacked that full of the best of the best.
Well, no, you need to spread the best of the best around the fleet. Otherwise, who's running the other ships?
Okay.
People like Bailey.
Yeah, true.
So I suppose there's an expectation that people will learn on the job and develop, and there probably is a range of skill levels as well.
Yeah.
And folk will gain experience and get better as they go along.
Mm.
Or the cream will rise, maybe, rather than expecting everybody to get better.
The cream will rise and the turds will fall. Is that no?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. McCoy, I was impressed again. He is not one, if he strongly believes in something, he will speak his mind. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it's his boss.
That's right.
Yeah, so well done.
And he'll speak out against a friend as well if he feels that he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we know they're friends because in a moment we see them drinking together in Kirk's quarters.
Yes, is this Sorry and Brandy?
Yeah, probably.
And as they are drinking, they're listening in to the drills, the simulations from the bridge. And McCoy, again, has to deny ever saying the thing we had at the top of the show.
Yes, about machines being superior to, or never being superior to humans.
There's a lot of back and forth. I like this.
Yeah.
But they're interrupted. First by Spock letting Kirk know that the initial tests or drills have come back at a 94% pass mark. But McCoy raises an eyebrow. Why?
Well, because Kirk and Spock agree they should do them again to try for 100%, but McCoy doesn't understand what the purpose of squeezing every last 1% out of the crew is.
Yeah, I think he asks, what are you going to do with that additional 6%?
Yes, but before Kirk can get in, Kirk looks like he's about to give a really good answer, but before he gets into it, Yeoman Rand shows up with his plate of lettuce. Yes,
prescribed by McCoy himself, who has changed Kirk's diet.
Well, he's a couple of pounds overweight. He's
physical,
yeah.
Although he himself refuses to join him.
No, he never eats until the crew eats.
Yeah, quite right. He knows his place.
Rand offers to get Kirk something else, but no, he's not. He'll just put up with it.
Now, here's the thing. I thought, maybe a different show or something else I've watched in the past as a kid, I thought we had, and we've seen the colourful food in other episodes, but did they not at some point have food pills? Am I thinking of something else?
Unless you're thinking of something else. I think that's actual astronauts.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of, what was the one with Erin Thingamajig? Buck Rogers.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dehydrated foods and so on. Now, I've never seen space pills.
Okay.
In this. Space pills? Food pills.
Mm-hmm. They fill up space.
Yeah, they do.
And we have... Anyway, let's get back to this.
We go over old ground a little bit here because Kirk laments having a female yeoman assigned to him because he's already got a female to care about, and that's the Enterprise, and it's a little bit heavily gendered.
Yeah, but the lads' banter is cut short when a communication comes through. Everyone has to man battle stations. It's not a drill this time. A larger object is now coming towards them.
Oh, not a big one. Oh.
So we're up on the bridge.
We are up on the bridge, and Spock reports that the new object has a much greater energy reading than the cube.
Yes. They see this object. It's a sphere now.
Well, it's going to get ping pong balls all over it, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's round.
It's a molecular structure, isn't it?
Almost, yeah.
They can't evade it, and they're jolted by its tractor beams.
Yeah, that's what it uses to plough fields.
Yep.
Kirk has them attempt to escape, but when it doesn't yield any fruit, he stops them from overloading the engines.
Mm-hmm. I think also we should say that Spock describes the sphere as fascinating.
Well, I'm about to get to this because this is the first time that he was filmed using the word fascinating. And it was not in the script. The script called for Spock to look terrified, but the director felt that wasn't appropriate, and they came up with the use of fascinating. So this was it. It was come up with by the director of this episode.
There you go. The thing is so huge that even he cannot give specifics of its size, which looks huge even at 5 kilometres away.
Yeah, apparently it's a mile in diameter.
Yeah. They're all in awe of it.
Bailey starts freaking out a wee bit.
Yeah, because Kirk tries to communicate with the object itself, but gets no response until Bailey picks up a message on his navigation beam.
This is Baylock, commander of the flagship Visarius of the First Federation. Your vessel, obviously the product of a primitive and savage civilization, having ignored a warning buoy and having then destroyed it, has demonstrated your intention is not peaceful. We are now considering the disposition of your ship and the life aboard.
Ship to ship.
Hailing frequencies open, sir.
This is the captain of the Enterprise speaking. The warning nature of your space buoy was unknown to us. Our vessel was blocked, and when we attempted to disengage...
being invaded by exceptionally strong sensor probes everywhere. Our electrical systems, our engines.
No further communication will be accepted. If there is the slightest hostile move, your vessel will be destroyed immediately.
Pretty drastic.
Yeah, that was Baylock.
Spock is impressed that Baylock has managed to shut down some of their systems, and realising the precarious situation they are in, Kirk orders recorder warnings to be issued for the benefit of other vessels.
Yes, they might come across them. Unfortunately, his crew are not quite up to speed.
No, Bailey is again hesitant and has to be prodded by Kirk to send this message out.
He does.
But before this can be addressed, the ship is attacked. They're all thrown around in that cliched manner.
Yeah, I think this is where the recorder marker is being destroyed.
Yeah. I really like Baylock's attitude.
Yes, he does not take any nonsense.
No, he cuts them off and things.
So he comes back on audio saying that the marker's been destroyed, and so will the Enterprise, because they've decided that they're not worth saving.
Yeah, this this is very James Bond. He starts off by saying that you're human, so you've probably got a deity or deities that you want to pray to and prepare for the afterlife. So you've got 10 minutes.
And then you're dead.
It's, just enough time for you to work out some sort of... So we're not going to kill you right away. 10 minutes you've got.
So you understand my evil plan. There we go.
We can see that Bailey is not handling this well at all. Although Spock is more interested in trying to find out what they look like. It's not really you've got 10 minutes of life left.
Well, Bailey brings this up.
Yeah.
So McCoy arrives on the bridge at this point.
With Scotty, I think.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
And points out that the whole ship heard Baylock's message. So Kirk puts out a reassuring message to the crew who are just standing there and don't look particularly fussed anyway.
Yeah, this positive slant, I think, is that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself and the unknown. Or
they'll listen to reason.
Yes, it should be intelligent enough, capable enough of understanding their motives. Now, that might be correct, but within 10 minutes.
Well, we'll find out. Kirk then gets back in touch with Baylock, indicating that they're prepared to withdraw, and he plots in a course. But Bailey's away with it now.
Yeah, I mean, they're interrupted by a whirring sound that gets faster and faster, and so he tells Bailey to plot a course ahead.
Yeah, but I think Sulu has to do it because Bailey just sits there.
However, all the engines and weapons are dead.
Yeah, but more importantly, Spock has a visual.
Yeah, we're about to die. He's got like 8 minutes left.
But you got to see this.
This is amazing.
It's like he comes over with his phone to Kirk. Have you seen this?
And indeed, on the screen appears the quite comical, blurred alien head of Baylock, who informs them there is no escape. And by the way, you've got 8 minutes to go.
Looks at his watch. Bailey, at this point, as you said, thinks Spock is wasting time trying to get these visuals sorted out. He wants action. And though Kirk tries to calm him down a bit, he gets up on his feet and makes a little speech about the end of time. They're dying. Don't you know you're dying?
Yeah, I think he calls them toy soldiers or wound up robot or something.
This reminded me of Tourmaline.
Yes. And he claims that they're out of their minds and don't realise they're dying. I think he's got a fair point. I mean, it's not the best way to... You need a cool head under pressure, but you're right.
Kirk relieves him of his duties at this point and has McCoy take him to his quarters, and then tries to speak to Baylock again and explain their actions.
But after some whirring, Baylock reappears telling them that they've got 7 minutes now.
Yeah, and then we fade out and back in, and we've got 4 minutes.
Yes.
So what I'm wondering is that real time? Would that have been a 3.5 minute advert break?
Might have been, yeah.
And we're getting this 10 minute countdown in real time, because that'd be quite an interesting...
Yeah, a live sort of episode.
I didn't try this. I didn't try and count from when does he give them 10 minutes to when does it run out. If it was 10 minutes, that's quite interesting.
I assume you've looked into a bit of trivia, and I would have thought that would have been mentioned.
Well, you would think it would have been mentioned, but I feel like I should have checked that. But oh well, someone will tell us.
Yeah.
Scotty doesn't like Sulu has a countdown going on his screen.
Yes. Yeah, and I think Kirk, he's pacing up and down, pondering his next action, and is frustrated that Baylock seems unwilling to discuss or negotiate with him, even though apparently he must know that they're no threat.
Yeah, Spock confirms that must be the case and makes a reference to chess, suggesting this is checkmate.
Yeah, he would know all about checkmate. I mean, I don't know why he's using a chess metaphor, because he's rubbish at it.
To be fair, this is the third time he's mentioned checkmate on the show, and he's been wrong all 3 times.
Kirk snaps at him at this lack of a logical alternative.
I should correct myself, because he beat Charlie at chess. So it's 3 out of 4 times.
Yeah, Charlie doesn't count.
Yeah, he was just as bad.
And did you notice that Spock started to apologise, then corrected himself?
Yeah. McCoy at this point comes in to choosing a completely inappropriate moment to raise a matter of procedure with Kirk.
Yeah, but Kirk is in no mood and tells him that it's his decision, to which McCoy responds, "And your mistake," that he has him overworked.
McCoy's just assuming they'll survive this. He's not... They've got 3 minutes to live.
Yeah, I know. Listen, Captain, I know this isn't a good time. I think Bailey, feeling a bit run down.
Next week's log.
Yeah. Give him an extra day, holiday or vacation. Yeah.
Kirk strongly disagrees with McCoy, but he has his trump card that we saw last week, where he raises the issue of the medical log, which would require Kirk to respond.
This enrages Kirk.
Well, I think importantly we should point out McCoy says he's not bluffing.
Yeah, I think that plants a little seed. But after raising his voice, Kirk, that is, stops when the crew all turn around, and Balok tells them they now have 3 minutes left.
Yeah, he just chips in with a wee warning there. And
you can see Balok, you can imagine him sitting drumming his fingers on the table.
Yeah, he keeps checking his watch. He's like, is this what you guys are doing?
Do you think this is the best use of your time? This is for praying. This is for...
I don't see any praying going on, guys.
Settling your affairs, your spiritual... Yeah.
Kirk does hope that he and McCoy... he after the warning becomes a little bit more sanguine. Maybe he hopes that they'll have the opportunity to argue about this later.
Yeah. And at this point, Kirk seems to have come up with a plan. Not based on chess, but...
poker.
And orders a ship-to-ship communication before attempting a bluff.
This is the captain of the Enterprise. Our respect for other life forms requires that we give you this warning. There's one critical item of information that has never been incorporated into the memory banks of any Earth ship. Since the early years of space exploration, Earth vessels have had incorporated into them a substance known as Corbomite. It is a material and a device which prevents attack on us. If any destructive energy touches our vessel, a reverse reaction of equal strength is created, destroying...
You now have 2 minutes.
Destroying the attacker. It may interest you to know that since the initial use of Corbomite, more than 2 of our centuries ago, no attacking vessel has survived the attempt. Death has little meaning to us. If it has none to you, then attack us now. We grow annoyed at your foolishness.
Kirk must hope that Balok heard that musical cue at the end to show that he was serious.
Yeah. I loved again Balok just interrupting him. Saying, "You've got 2 minutes. I'm not listening to this nonsense. Corbomite, what are you talking about? I'm a vastly superior intellectual being. I know everything about everything in the universe. This is made up. Who are you trying to kid?"
Come up at the last minute with a new super weapon. It's going to bounce back my weapon on me.
And you can see the rest of the crew all smiling, going, "Oh yeah, very good, Captain, very good, yeah, great plan."
If this was true, why was your little recording device not fitted with it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Spock gives Kirk a wee shake of the head to say, "Nah, that's not worked." Tells him sympathetically that it was well played.
And mentions that Balok reminds him of his father, even though his mother considered herself a fortunate Earthwoman. So that's interesting.
Oh yes, so Balok's like his dad.
Why?
Which Scotty sympathises with his mother over. But yes, Spock points out that she felt fortunate to be married to his dad. There's a lot more to come out about Spock's family, but we'll take some time on that one.
Okay.
Kirk gets around to apologising to McCoy.
Yeah, maybe appreciating that they only have moments left together.
And McCoy understands completely.
He's quite gracious.
Yeah, he doesn't know why Kirk goes by without thumping him from day to day.
Yeah. And we're down to the final minute and 30 seconds as Bailey returns to the bridge and is granted permission.
He's probably drunk now.
Yeah, well...
What else is he going to do? A heroin full of him, yeah.
Sulu continues his countdown now from 10 seconds.
And he doing from 11 seconds.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay, and when he gets to 0, what happens?
Nothing.
That was a bit of a Y2K.
Yes.
Much,
exactly that, yeah.
In any case, it's much to their relief, and Spock claims poker to be a very interesting game. Is that right? Is that right, Spock? You don't understand, do you?
McCoy offers to teach him.
But they then get a communication from the commander of the Phasarius.
Baylock, I presume, still. It's the same voice.
They bottled it and have delayed the destruction of the Enterprise, but want proof of the Corbomite device material.
Yeah, Kirk tries to flip things around and go a bit on offense here. He makes them wait for his response and then just says, request denied.
Yeah, he thinks he's got the upper hand, but we'll find out shortly that he doesn't, and he's actually rubbish at poker.
Yeah, well...
And we can discuss, this episode's called the Corbomite Maneuver, and the Corbomite Maneuver didn't work. It was useless.
Well, Baylock does ask for proof of the Corbomite thing, so it's had some effect.
No, maybe Baylock's just having fun, going, I know this is made up, so come on then.
Yep, let's see it.
Tell me about it.
Call. Baylock indicates that their decision on the destruction of the Enterprise remains pending, but he knows that their primitive attempts to see him have been successful because he has allowed this.
Yes, before disappearing with a promise of another demonstration of his or their superiority.
Yeah, so is the demonstration him cutting off the visual, or is it what he does later with the little ship?
I don't know, the little ship, I think.
Okay. Rand shows up with hot coffee somehow. Yeah,
she has managed to phaser some coffee together.
This seems highly inappropriate use of a phaser.
It reminds me of when Zulu was down on the cold planet and used that. But that was a life.
Yeah, that's different. That's life or death. It's like someone coming up with like a tin that they've opened. How did you open it? I shot it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's not what that's for.
I know, look at the ricochet. Could have killed someone.
Anyway, a smaller ship, as we were just
saying. So I can just imagine if it was Bailey who tried it and ended up shooting himself in the foot.
Or the face.
Captain, I've got a problem. What did you do? I was trying to get Bailey, next planet you're getting dropped, Bill. That's...
Yeah. A smaller ship, as I say, leaves the Phasarius, and Baylock tells the Enterprise that he's going to tow them to a suitable planet where they can be incarcerated.
Yeah, to a planet of the First Federation that can sustain them. Now, sorry, what's the Federation again?
This is a different Federation from the Federation. So the Federation hasn't been mentioned yet. It will come around later in the series. The First Federation is where Baylock's from. That's completely separate.
So what is a Federation?
Federation is like an alliance of different planets.
Yeah, I know what it means in this. Yeah, okay.
So the Federation, the United Federation of Planets, is the main Earth, Vulcan, etc. organisation.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to be detained on that planet and the Enterprise will be destroyed. So this manoeuvre did not work.
Maybe, but he does say, unconvincingly, do not be deceived, but this small, crappy ship could also destroy your ship. Definitely don't think it can't.
Yeah.
So is he bluffing?
No, he's shown that he can do what he wants with their vessel.
Yeah. I wonder though, does the large ship actually exist, or was he always in this small ship and confusing their sensors to think there was a big ship? I suspect not, because he does mention at the very end that he's going to send for it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
The Enterprise systems are turned back on for a moment, but they're warned not to try anything.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll take that under advisement.
Captain's log 1514.1. Kirk's plan is to hope. This is a terrible plan. It's simply to hope that the smaller ship grows careless.
Well, he also says he made this same assumption with Charlie Evans back in the episode Charlie X, that he thinks they must be at the limit of their capabilities without having any way of understanding their capabilities.
Yeah.
They might not be. They might be using 1/10 of their power.
It's a Spock leap he's using here.
But fortunately, he's immediately validated in his theory because they're slowing down.
Yes, and so Kirk orders a right angle course to try and sheer away from the...
So this whole next sequence confused me greatly. What is he ordering at each stage? So he wants to sheer away at a right angle, but first he turns the engines on and then he engages something else.
No, I think he's just building up the
So he's getting the engines hot so that when they want to go, they're at full power.
Effectively, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't shear away from a standing start, I don't think.
Okay. As the engines get hotter and hotter, the crew are shaken from side to side, although the crew in the corridors once again look very much unperturbed like they did earlier. In fact, they look exactly like they did earlier.
Same shot.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah, I think the engines are over 8,000 degrees and rising. And eventually Bailey is ordered to shear away. And Sulu is told to activate the impulse power.
Well, he says the impulse engines too, so in the subtitles in the script it's written TWO, as if it's a second impulse, but I think it's as well.
Right.
I think he means have your warp drive and your impulse engines both going.
Okay. Spock, he warns of impending carnage. I think the Enterprise is at near breaking point.
But it pays off. Bailey reports that they are able to pull away from the small ship.
Mm-hmm. And Scotty asks for a few hours to work on the damaged engines.
Spock's not sure that's a good idea.
No, because he quite rightly, I suppose, assumes that the mothership, the Fesarius, will come back after them, so they need to get out of there.
Yeah, well, he either says if Baylock got a signal out or Baylock got a signal out, but I think it must be if, because what happens next is that Uhura does pick up a signal from the small ship, but it's very weak.
And it would not have managed to get to the mothership.
They guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is effectively helpless. Impotent.
Well, according to its own message, its life support systems are failing, the engines are down.
So, to the surprise of the rest of the crew,
the great surprise,
Kirk decides that they must do their duty and board it to find out if they can help.
He does give his orders to the entire crew over the comm system so that everyone knows what's happening.
I think McCoy, along with everyone else, questions this decision, but Kirk again snaps back, reminding again,
this is the mission.
Yeah. He then tells McCoy and a surprised Bailey that they will be joining him on the trip.
And he tells an equally surprised Spock that he won't be.
You shouldn't be surprised, because if he goes down, I assume that you have to leave. Spock's in the natural to be in a very dangerous situation where there is real risk that they won't be coming back.
You probably shouldn't send your captain if there's a real risk you're not coming back.
Yeah, well, maybe the captain has to lead by example.
Sure.
But it's like you don't fly, important people don't fly along the one plane.
Yeah. Down in the transporter room, Scotty confirms that they have tested the air on the other ship and it is breathable, but the roof is very low, so please duck.
Yes, they've got to be beamed down in a crouching position.
And when they materialise on the other ship, McCoy immediately bumps his head on the roof.
Yes. And they find straight away what looks like a Balok mannequin.
Yeah, it turns out that the Balok who has been speaking to them is a model.
Yeah, unfortunately not that type, but not an Andrea.
Not an Andrea, no, an actual rubber model or whatever it's made out of.
Well, that's what they think at first, but they hear the voice of Balok.
A different voice of Balok.
Greeting them.
From behind a curtain?
Yeah, so yes, it's a curtained off area. That's his relaxation point, his little...
Boudoir.
Yeah. They turn to see one of the creepiest sights committed to film, in my opinion.
Ever.
A man baby, a boy baby man thing.
Baby boy man.
Yeah, sitting on a couch, was it a chaise lounge?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and he tells them to sit down and get comfortable.
Which they do. Not that comfortable right enough.
And he gives them some Tranya.
Yes, he hopes that they relish it as much as he.
I wouldn't. Well, they're as suspicious as you should be.
They're very, very reluctant to drink it.
But they see him drink it, so they also drink it, and I think it looks, well, from what we can see in their faces, it's delicious.
Yeah.
What is Tranya?
I don't know, but in reality this was pink grapefruit juice, which Clint Howard, who played the baby man child thing, hated. But he had to act.
They all partake before Kirk opens up a discussion.
Commander, that puppet...
My alter ego, so to speak. In your culture, he would be Mr. Hyde to my Jekyll. You must admit he's effective. You would never have been frightened by me. And I thought my distress signal quite clever. It was a pleasure testing you.
Testing us?
I see.
I had to discover your real intentions.
But you probed our memory banks.
Your records could have been a deception on your part.
And your crew?
I have no crew, Doctor. I run everything. This entire complex from this small ship. But I miss company, conversation. Even an alien would be welcome. Perhaps one of your men. For some period of time. An exchange of information, cultures.
Yes, both our cultures would benefit. Do you know where we can find a volunteer, Mr. Bailey?
Me, sir, I'd like to volunteer.
Ah, you represent Earth's best, then.
No, sir, I'm not. I'll make plenty of mistakes.
But you'd find out more about us that way. And I'd get a better officer in return.
That is quite a weird ending. Well, okay, let's just wrap up. We'll get back to this clip. Delighted, he claims that he and Kirk think alike and then proceeds to give them a tour of the ship.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to that clip.
I don't think Bailey's going to get the experience he's expecting here.
No, and I don't think he's going to be returned.
Not with that laugh at the end.
No. That is so...
He's probably going to turn him into a walrus or something.
Yeah, Tusk. Baby creepy man, child boy thing, right? Asks for one of your crew. And
he basically... In other words, can I please have a human sacrifice?
Yeah, and Kirk says, yep, Bailey.
Bailey, he's useless.
Yeah.
And he's convinced Bailey that he wants this.
When Bailey's not had a chance to say bye-bye to his friends on the ship or get his toothbrush or anything. It's just, nope. Bailey, you're now...
Yes, it's you.
You're remaining here. You're going
Forever.
to be the slave of this thing.
And I'm sure there's no spoilers involved when I tell you, but we never see Bailey again. Or Baylock.
I'm not. I would be a spoiler if you said he did come back.
Yeah.
He is at the very best, or worst, depending how you want to look at it, is chained up in some sort of dungeon in that ship. Being,
I think he gets physically transformed in some way.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, odd behaviour from Kirk just to give up one of his men.
Well, they die all the time. He's used to losing one or two.
Sure, but he's handing. I mean, nah.
And this solves all his problems.
Well, he does need to get rid of Bailey because Bailey was hopeless.
Yes, and Kirk had made the error of promoting him.
Yes, he's
so
embarrassed.
He's covering his own
of
back
course.
Here.
Yeah,
by disposing of him in a way that seems reasonable.
Well, should anything happen to him, fortunately enough, he can say it was his own decision. Got witnesses.
Volunteered, McCoy says. He saw it too.
Yeah.
He wasn't delirious and he wasn't using heroin at the time.
No. Also, did you notice that for a young child, when he laughed, Clint Howard, or Ballock, had a massive amount of fillings in his mouth.
For a 7-year-old or whatever he was, yeah. Well, maybe it was false for the episode.
Don't think so, because we're noticing this on sort of higher def screens close up, but in a TV back in the 60s, you wouldn't have picked that out, I wouldn't have thought.
Maybe not.
So there we have it.
The Jekyll and Hyde reference made no sense. Should have been Wizard of Oz or something. Because he's not an evil side, he's not real.
Mm-hmm. And apparently there was a deliberate allusion to Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Even the
man behind the curtain.
Yeah, and the look of the mannequin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you don't think Kirk's gambit paid off then?
No. The Corbomite Maneuver, he says, this is what we're going to do. If you try and do anything, it'll come back equally and it'll destroy you.
Yep.
And they just say, yeah, well, do you know what? You've just played your hand, have a bit of this, and goes in with a couple of aces and says, okay, what we're going to do now then is we're just going to tow you away, put you in a planet, lock you up, and then destroy your ship. How'd you like that?
Yeah, that's it. And he was only testing him all along.
Mm-hmm.
So he says. Okay, obviously we've mentioned this was the first episode produced. Do you think it would have changed anything about the other 9 episodes if you'd seen this one first?
Not really. It was stronger. I mean, I think I mentioned last week, I assumed that being an earlier one produced that the standards are it been rough around the edges, but it felt more polished than some of the other ones.
Yeah, I thought it set up the Kirk McCoy relationship pretty well as well.
Yes, yeah. No, I liked the episode. It was fun. Characters were fun. Some of the interaction was nice to witness.
And most of the characterization's consistent as well. Kirk behaves the way you would expect Kirk to behave from what you've seen so far. Spock and McCoy the same, more or less. I mean, McCoy's maybe a bit more antagonistic than sometimes, but basically the same guys that they are in every other episode.
Yeah.
And Uhura opens hailing frequencies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, enjoyable.
And they shelled out for Scotty this week.
They did.
So that's always a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we get into some trivia?
Why not?
Okay, original air date, 10th of November 1966. Corbomite Maneuver, directed by Joseph Sargent, who gets the credit for the word fascinating becoming part of Star Trek folklore and for the name of our podcast. This was his only episode of Star Trek. He was a fairly prolific director. He worked on movies and TV shows including Jaws the Revenge and the original The Taking of Pelham 123.
Good movie.
He worked on the Karen Carpenter story and he did 14 episodes of Lassie.
Okay.
He died in 2014 at the age of 89.
You can't complain with that.
No. The episode was written by Jerry Soule, who received a Hugo nomination for the episode.
Not David Soule's father or brother.
Spelled slightly differently.
Ah.
He would go on to write 2 other episodes of Star Trek, along with episodes of The Outer Limits, The Twilight Zone, and Alfred Hitchcock Presents, amongst other things. He died in 2002 at the age of 88. Anthony Call played Bailey. He looked familiar, but I don't know where from. He was the agitated bridge officer, and this was his only Star Trek appearance. Call has made some acting appearances subsequent to this, but audiences may be more familiar with him as the narrator's voice for a range of documentaries, including A Haunting and Murder Comes to Town. In a minor Columbo connection, his father was Abner Bieberman, who directed Peter Falk in 4 episodes of The Trials of O'Brien. Clint Howard played Balok or Balok.
A well-kent face.
This is his only original series appearance, though he would later become something of a Star Trek icon with appearances in Deep Space Nine, Enterprise and Discovery. He's only 7 years old at the time the episode was filmed, but he'd already appeared in 5 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show, which of course featured his brother, and would go on to appear in 56 episodes of Gentle Ben, as well as shows like Sledgehammer, which we've covered on podcast, and movies including The Water Boy and Apollo 13.
Tango and Cash.
Tango and Cash not have the guy Jan from Mary in it as well?
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, Clint Howard remains a working actor and obviously is the brother of the legendary director Ron Howard.
Coincidentally, I was watching an episode of Seinfeld last night and he was in that.
Clint Howard was?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Walker Edmiston, this is our big Columbo connection. He was one of the actors, along with Ted Cassidy, who played Ruck in What Are Little Girls Made Of, who are credited for the voice of Balok. I think Ted Cassidy did it when it was over the communications screen, and Walker Edmiston did it in the other ship.
I wonder why they needed 2 voices for it.
Just a different characterisation, I suppose.
Yeah. But the whole point of hiring a voice actor is that you can do more than one voice.
Yeah. He appeared in 2 episodes of Columbo, Dagger of the Mind, and Any Old Port in a Storm, and this was the first of his 5 Star Trek credits. He died in 2007 at the age of 81, although there is some debate as to whether he even appeared in this episode at all, because other sources, including the Star Trek Compendium, credit Vic Perrin as the voice of Balok when he's the child.
There's only one way to resolve this.
A fight?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, Perrin wasn't in Columbo, so we're going to stick with Edmiston.
Yeah. And, of course, those 2 episodes you mentioned have a Star Trek connection as well. Dagger, obviously, the title, and Any Old Port was Leo Penn.
There you go. This, I believe, is the first episode in which we see the Enterprise firing its phasers.
Is it?
I don't remember another one. And the only other trivia I have are the international titles, unless you have anything.
Nope.
Okay, so the German translators go with Pokerspiele, poker games. The French go with Fausse Maneuver, simply false maneuver.
Okay.
Which is maybe a better description of it.
Mm-hmm.
Calls it out as not working.
Merde Maneuver would be more appropriate.
Yeah, maybe. The Japanese team, coming up trumps as usual, they opted to go for a different approach altogether. They went with Nazo no Kyutai. Kyutai? I'm not sure. Which means the mysterious globe.
It's alright.
That's not brilliant, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, next time we're looking at the 11th episode of Season 1, which is The Menagerie Part 1.
Part 1?
It's a 2-part episode.
Oh.
At least.
At least?
Otherwise, why would they call it Part 1? So, if you've got nothing more, I think we can wrap it here. We'll see people in 7 days' time.
We will. Until then,
cheers. Cheerio.
Bye bye.